welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live once again for the mandatory GG Ignition series, and we're moving on to the round of 32. I'm Lee Demon Smith, and joining me is HYPERX once again, who's just what started from CS in the previous game, Mike, and we thought the boys from PUBG might put up a display, a little defiance. It started off good.
There were signs of life, but they were very short-lived. I think that's safe to say. It's again, I guess my heart was rooting for them, but yeah, I mean, they just got absolutely dismantled in the second half, and I mean, it comes down to an experience thing. I mean, Lauren was touching on a couple of things, obviously from knowing these guys from way back, but I think it was just a different approach to the game. I mean, I spoke to VZ briefly. He was just saying we were just losing gunfights, and I said the same thing. It came down to they were losing 1v1s, and StartedFromCS were just able to absolutely abuse that. So, I mean, good show from StartedFromCS. They obviously pretty much swept that previous one, but coming in now, Forze, Lee. That's, I mean, you got to argue that's a bit of a tougher opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we're going to be playing on Haven. Everybody's played it. It's alongside Bide. It's the most common map played throughout. Obviously, Ascent being the newer one. People still figuring strats. A lot of people were avoiding Split. We just saw now. And obviously, that's going to be a different kettle of fish because we're moving on to the triple site, the triple defensive setup. Generally, we'll be seeing pretty standard defensive setups, but I feel that this is a map that offers probably the most unique play, I think is the word I'm after. Someone like Existence could certainly bring to the table because you have that triple site, because you can stretch people a bit further.
I mean, it comes down to there's two factors to Haven, I feel. It's the psychological warfare, the baits, the fakes, all of that stuff. You know, bringing a rotation over can leave one side of the map really open for, you know, just a free site take when you're attacking. And also, Haven's one of those maps that, you know, early pickoffs become such a huge factor. You know, if somebody dies over on A long and you're only playing one solo there, I mean, the site's free after that. Also mid as well, getting mid control in this. It can swing both ways. I'm not saying it's easier for the attackers or defenders, but it's a map that can be heavily influenced by that kind of first blood factor. And I mean, from what we've just seen from StartedFromCS, they're very quick to kind of collapse on that. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's always nice to watch two teams kind of, I mean, for want of a better term, deathmatch it out on Haven sometimes.
Well, for Forza, they've just come out of the Lava Series 4. They won the Lava Series 4 against Wave Esports in the final, the German team. So they're coming off the back of a victory into this matchup off against StartedFromCS. StartedFromCS, of course, you know, they got to the finals of the Rise of Titans, but they fell to Fabricant. You know, obviously that was one of, like, when Fabricant were on the rise, effectively. They were a team that we'd seen throughout the beta and obviously started to grow. Hoping to see them later on today. Who knows? We'll see how it works out. At the moment, it's looking like it may shake out that they end up facing Fish 1, 2, 3 in a horrific best of one decider, which kind of sucks, but you know, that's the way some brackets are when there's 128 teams out there. But going back to these teams, obviously StartedFromCS, that was the tournament when I cast the Rise of Titans. I was expecting big things from them when we got to the final, and I was very surprised to see them swept aside by Fabricant in the style that they were. And that goes back to what Lauren was saying. You know, I just wonder how dedicated they are to Valorant just yet. Like, are they just playing it as a bit of fun? Like, if sometimes you watch Happy play, you can tell when he's enjoying it and when he's not. I think it's quite clear to tell in his play style.
Well, I guess Fabricant's another one as well. And I said the biggest opportunity for Cobras in that previous game was to kind of excel on a macro level.
Yeah.
And my biggest doubt for StartedFromCS is much the same as what you're saying, is how deep is the playbook? You know, how good are they playing from behind, or, you know, kind of those really coordinated utility executes onto sites. And I mean, they showed a little bit of that in the previous game. And I think against a tougher opponent in the form of Forze, they might draw a blank a couple of times if they don't win these opening 1v1s into a site. So it's definitely something to consider, but I mean, we'll have to see how it plays out.
Oh, we just went to see what agents they're going to set themselves out on. We're kind of expecting standard. I'm wondering whether we're going to see the Happy on the Sage or whether we're going to see Happy on Raze. Because he used to play Raze last time I covered him on Haven, so obviously it is a flex pick, and then that switches I think it was Akuma that switches over to the Sage. I can't remember which one, or maybe even Existence. I'm not too sure. See will make the flex picks across there. For Forze, Impala was the one that kind of stepped out for me at the weekend, along with Zeddy. Zeddy and Impala were very strong players. They had some massive performances. Obviously, Impala playing as the operator player, so I'm interested to see whether there's any sort of challenge for him going forward. They swept Norpenki aside, but granted, it wasn't Norpenki were without Vac and Boo at the time. So obviously it was a very different Norpenki they were expecting, but that was playing with Domo and Arch, who were also very talented players with Prodigy Academy. So it's not to say they were replaced by some poor players. So no, but obviously but from that point it takes away the teamwork, right? That's the teamwork aspect. These guys have grown and worked together, and that's kind of what started from CS almost bring to it. The fact, Happy, Existence, Maniac. I don't know how much they've played with Bayers and Akuma. They certainly have in Valorant. That's all I've seen with. Yeah. But I just think, like, obviously that teamwork that develops. Think of like Need for DM, stuff like that. All these guys that are not particularly flashy and known, but their teamwork is clearly there.
Yeah. I mean, that's where you see some teams kind of, arguably cause upsets when we have these big CS names step into Valorant, where they just get completely outclassed in terms of utility management. Like I said, really coordinated executes onto sites. And it's, raw aim won't take you very far in this game when you're playing against a really, really well coordinated team.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, when you hit the higher levels, EG2s, whatever, everybody's got the same raw aim. Everybody's as good as one another. So, okay, here's the changes. Let's see. Okay, so it's going to be Akuma on Ray. So Happy's actually going over to this is completely changed things.
Yeah, it's completely thrown.
That can't be right because Maniac was playing Omen. That's completely changed around. Okay, wait, no, I can see that it's Existence on Omen in the background. They have totally changed agents.
I mean, I like it. A team that can flex onto any role. I like it.
So it's going to be Forza on the attack, and it's actually started from CS on defense. So hopefully they'll switch that in the top. I can see in terms of colors that's actually the other way around. So because you can see Happy here on the Raze. So Happy is on the Raze. There we go. Right. So I was correct.
I mean, that's good to see, because he was kind of playing Sage like a Raze on split. I'm not going to lie. But again, those confidence plays, that's what we want to see from these players that are talented in terms of aimly.
Absolutely. I mean, but some of the Force guys, they're not bad. That almost seemed like a panic wall. They saw the recon bot was sort of bouncing around, and that's a little too late. What they want to do is put the wall down and get the quick B plant, but that's not going to work out. Now they're going to try and push for it, but is it too late? You can see Happy lingering off the side. He's going to push it through that cover. Doesn't work out for him.
Well, the thing is as well, the wall there had been down for about 20 seconds, so it only needed a couple of pistol shots to pop it. The paint shell didn't help, but actually, you can see a big paranoia come through connector here. One player swinging out, but Existence not finding anything. Well, he does find one, but the trade comes through from Zeddy.
He got the carrier down. That's the big bit. He got the flight carrier down in the crossover. Does manage to get the plant down now, but that's cost him so much time. And now the retake is looking great here, but Coffee and Impala pop off. And now there's just one left standing. It's Happy, though. He's going off. He gets Impala and Smart down. Coffee, he's got 100 hit points. The boombot comes out. Oh, the paint shells. Which way is he going? Runs out of going on it. But Coffee lands there. Such an important headshot. A running headshot at that. Wow, a close starter.
Yeah, I mean, it came down to the 1v1, Raze on Raze, but, I mean, Happy was down to very, very low HP. I mean, he nearly had it. The boombot going one way, the paint shells cutting off the other side, but Coffee holding strong there, finds the headshot with the ghost, and nice reaction, really. The spike almost went down on B, but we talked about that wall being a little mistimed. The paint shell bought a lot of time for them, but really, really good audible play there to take control of C site. It's interesting to see Forze again opting to not run a Sage. I've seen this before from them on Haven, and I mean, we don't often see it being a huge factor, but I mean, when you're attacking first, you got to say that it kind of aids you, right?
Steady, trying to steal away the orb. Shock result come in, by the way. Party Parrots losing 13-11. And this being, as far as I know, their last tournament together. Obviously, we already saw signs that they may well be disbanding. So they go out in the round of 64. That's a big surprise. This looks like a solid set plate. There's no one there, but look at the rotations. If they don't go quick enough, they're going to meet a 5-stack.
You see, actually, a heavy stack. Literally everybody over towards it. Dark Cover going to cut off the short push. I think they know what's up here because the Recon Bolt going to come in. Also, a paint shell to follow it up. Bayaz will fall first, but the paranoia is huge in response there.
Well, it doesn't look like it's going to work out well for them. As Coffee in the end will lay it down. And Akuma trying his best. Cheeky nose scope at the end there. By the way, I love the little play there with the Recon Bolt followed by the paint shells immediately afterwards. They all look up for the, the Recon Bolt and the paint shells hit them all. That's a really nice little smooth play there. And just to confirm, it is actually Forza that are 2-0 up. The top UI is incorrect. It needs switching over. So once that's dealt with, like I say, it is Forze on the attack.
And it started from CS not playing with the Sage, not Forze.
Yes, which confused us.
But yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example there of what we're touching on just before this game started, Lee. The coordination from these, I guess, teams that come in with a blank canvas in terms of learning Valorant. It's stuff like that they're going to have to their advantage. And it's things that I'm not saying, you know, CS players can't pick up over time, but we see that become a factor in games.
Well, they've certainly got the skill. There's no question in that. I was casting these guys back at the majors in 2015, and they absolutely can perform. Happy, though, is about to be tested. And obviously, this being the first big rifle around the wall, boosting over. Oh, the drone going to give him the information. Happy dodges the paint shell, stays passive, stays in the corner. Everybody else is rotating. The links are all covered off, but it's going to be a rotate back away through double doors. They're already pushing through, and this is going to be a C hit.
Yeah, the utility kind of throwing down a bit of a bait on B's site. Counter paranoia from both Omens over from Connector over to back plat, but there you go. Bayaz will fall in the defensive spawn. Actually, Zeddy gonna shroud and step across. He might get caught off guard. Maniac didn't react quick enough there. I don't know if he had his weapon out or what, but Spike now making his way through Garage. And I think you're right. It's going to be a full-on C hit here, and there's only one player to defend it. He's going to fall immediately.
Zeddy in control. Huge on getting the plant down, and this is going to be a simple save round for Started from CS. The first rifle round, and tested as expected by Forze here. A solid roster that tasted victory at the weekend, performed very well in the We Play. Yes, they went out in groups, but they certainly put some scares, I think it was, into some of the big teams in Valorant so far, taking some important rounds throughout that one. So, not too surprising to see them starting off strong here. And are they going to hunt the guns down, I wonder? I don't think they really have the economy to go full hunting yet, so it is just going to be a case of grouping up, but they are going to defend themselves in long A, and they should be safe.
Yeah, again, a risky round to lose anything if you're Forze, and whilst it'd be great to remove those weapons, I think, again, we can see from the economy, you're going to see a bit of investment coming back in from Started from CS, so I think you're absolutely right. It's not really worth it at this point. You're risking a lot to, I guess, stop them from buying back in, but, I mean, the money's not terrible from them anyway, so 3 rounds on the board for Forze. No real surprises just yet, but this one now, a couple of players looking worryingly low on credits, so Started from CS, I'm going to want to get this round on the board to kind of stop any momentum from Forze for sure.
They keep trying this default play and sort of taking control of window. I just wonder at what point maybe Started from CS will figure that out and maybe get an operator and try and peek them down there, but as it is, obviously you haven't got the economy to do just that, which is why they are feeling very confident. Aldrone peak, that's going Happy's way. As you can see, Existence is already there to cover it off. Very aggressive play. That's Maniac, isn't it? That's crept up A long.
Yeah.
And that's give the information play, which is why they've got a 4-stack almost easily to go over to C, and that's where the hits come in.
Yeah, actually, Zeddy going to get held at the top of C long, but comes back to set up, and Existence will fall elsewhere. Yes, he got a little bit overzealous outside of B. But Spike's still down at the bottom of C long, so they're still trying to look for an entry here. StartedFromCS not giving anything away on the site itself. Zeddy going to get very, very tagged up there. But there you go. Coffee there to convert that one, and they will get control in. And actually, Coffee will find a second on the way, and Akuma will fall. And again, now they're in the situation is they probably should just save this. It's not worth pushing back in when you don't get any sort of trade on the entry there. But, I mean, a really good push from Forze. It was pretty much just vanilla as you like. Took 2 pretty much clean aim duels.
You try and tell Happy to back away. He's not having any of it. He's in a position. He just snuck in the corner, and he will find himself one. So he gets Coffee down, quick paint shells, and back away. But he is kind of trapped now. There's no way around that long wall, effectively, long aim. And that leaves him and Maniac separated. Maniac, of course, has the skill and ability to back up his aim. And as Laura mentioned, a lot of people maybe just know him as a analyst these days, but he was a top player in his day. And it will be a successful save, taking 2 weapons away from Force. But it is a 4-0 deficit right now. Yet to get themselves a defensive round, but they have the cash, they have it backing up. Yeah. Happy can afford to buy a weapon, so they certainly have the ability in the bank. They just need to get themselves a defensive round set up. And I always find in this Haven map that once the defenders do get that foothold, it's generally hard to shift them then. Once they get that momentum, that positional setup, you know, that confidence effectively, then it will stop them. This is the first real round where they've actually got the economy to back up what they can do.
Yeah, and I guess defending on this map as well relies a lot on information. And I mean, what Forze are doing well is they're kind of stacking up, and as soon as that information comes over, it's actually like a 2v1 for any of the defenders. So Forze are doing very, very well. And as I say that, Zeddy's just going to find a pick from all the way at the bottom of C long, and that's going to draw 2 members of StartedFromCS over towards C site. Dark cover going to cover off here, so
is this an A hit or a B hit? Yeah, it's going to... I mean, the spikes there, they've definitely done it to push it. But this is actually a good response from StartedFromCS to say, okay, let's go aggressive. Let's push it through. And they've caught Zeddy off guard. And now they can't make this quick play. They know that there's somebody there. They probably saw 2 of them as well. So they're going to try and make this play into B. But look how quick they are rotating. They're going to be in position. The quick showstopper ready and waiting. Hasn't used it yet, Happy. He's not looking. He's going to try and wrap around for this one, but he's not in position to try and use it. And they've actually managed to get themselves in a great position with the plant down.
Yeah, and getting control of A-Link here, that again, as soon as they hear that showstopper, they've got to peel back. They don't want to contest site immediately, but...
They have the spike! They've wrapped
They have control of A-Link here. They've just peeled all the way back out. Hunter's Fury is going to be there to deny the initial defuse, but they push through and try and get these kills. And Akuma and Happy will fall. I love that aggression.
That was nice.
There. Yeah, the push all the way through A-Link. Smart 7 gets all the way onto A site, and I mean, they don't need to give anything away at that point. They just need to stop them from getting through to stop the Hunter's Fury. Really, really good post-plant play there.
I mean, that's why I questioned like the positioning and why they all went to Link, but I didn't notice that had Hunter's Fury, so he was lined up perfectly for it. And they could either go left side or right side. Either way, they were funneled in away by the Hunter's Fury. He just fires it straight on top of the bomb, so knowing exactly where the spike was planted. But this time, Happy has the operators. The first round, he has it. He's going to be looking for one of those peaks on the B window here. Is Coffee going to try and peek it? No, he's going to get caught out by a Paranoia instead, because that's a peek on A short by Existence. So he had a quick peek. Nothing gained from either, though. Yeah.
It's actually crazy.
It's the best blind in the game by far. And again, the opening pick goes the way of Force, and that's been the problem for StartedFromCS at the moment. They're losing out. There's initial battles, and Coffee finds Happy's head, and that's the operator gone.
But so you said, though, that they had a fantastic response to it. Last time they pushed 2 all the way down C long. They get all the information. Yeah, it's just one guy here. It's Omen. He's creating space. They're going to be elsewhere on the map. Actually, this Shrouded Step might actually catch. Oh, no, they're going to meet each other. No, Impala's still waiting there. Neural Theft gets popped, and that's going to give the information over. Spike's already down at B. And now they're going to try and hunt these weapons, but... You're absolutely right. Just that first blood is such a huge factor, and you can see them just—they don't react immediately. They're not they're not aggressive to kind of capitalize on it. They buy themselves so much space by just kind of pushing up and pressuring that part of the map.
I was going to question whether it was even worth hunting and chasing him down since they knew he had a Spectre, but I guess he could have picked up one of the weapons. But either way, that was a big investment that round, and it netted them a big fat 0. And look at the bank building for Forze. 6-0. This is looking like an easily an 8-4, if not a 9-3 potential first half for Forze.
I mean, I want to see StartedFromCS kind of get a bit more aggressive in terms of like finding information, push down C long early. You know, if there's a dark cover there, find something out from it. But I mean, with Baez kind of playing C site, you never want to be the Cypher pushing out, because I mean, he dies and you know, you don't have that factor where he can feed all that information to the rest of the team. But
it kind of surprises me actually that they're using the Cypher on C, not on A.
Yeah.
Because it's generally an A play. You can see it passive, use the cameras to good use. Instead, he's going for the long aim battles effectively here with a Marshal, which sure, if you land the headshot, you might be able to take them down. But other than that, you are going to ping the armor down. There's a recon bolt coming over the top. And well, the information's gathering it, drew them over. But here is literally the only weapon they have. So they were hoping for something. But you're right. I feel it's going to be a case of buying, you know, one of those hero plays effectively. Someone picks up a 4K or an ace or something like that, and that's what's going to start things going for StartedFromCS. The bonus is they have all the ultis ready and waiting, barring the Hunter's Fury.
Yeah, I mean, this Aldone going to give the information away. You can see it immediately. Going to react on that. Existence actually going to find Impala here, but Spike's still lurking in Garden, so they're not committing it just yet. Impala's going to get revived. He's back on his feet now, and actually going to invest the Omen TP, and Existence will find a second with the Sheriff. Coffee will fall on long, but no real pressure coming in from Forze here. You can see they're flanking elsewhere through the map.
Not working out for them, unfortunately. Maniac will get one, though.
No charges.
Can it work out as they back him off? This is looking good. Zeddy in a 1v2 has to back away. They've got the weapons now. They've managed to recover them, and the Spike is still in their control. And the thrifty round, that's what they needed. That's all they needed. And more importantly, it's given them an operator. It's given them a rifle. And yes, sure, obviously Forze have that bank all the way built back up. But that is just the leg.
A weird round.
It was. I mean, especially when they'd already got the information on C.
Yeah, I mean, they were trading back and forth, and there was no pressure towards site other than the flank coming through a link. But even then, they didn't capitalize on the Spike. Didn't move from sewers. Maybe they were just so scared of losing that thrifty round. But that was a little sloppy from Forze. I mean, when you're 6-0 up, you're allowed a few mistakes, but that was just weird the way that played out.
Looking for those. I really the activity of the defense, how mobile they are. Okay, Pete comes out from Maniac. Yeah, it's going to get answered, and that's Impala opening things up. So that's probably going to divert things over the A site. Happy yet to rotate, sticking around the B, keeping an eye on what's going on over here. Recon bot will come through. Doesn't net him a great deal of information. Don't think he landed it right. I think did he clip the door with that? It looked like he did.
It looked like he did, yeah, but again, we're going to see heavy C presence, and
they're rotating away from it. They've completely misread this.
I mean, the dark cover is going to go down in front of B as well, so that's just throwing more bait over. You can see they're not fully committing away from C right now, but Forze are just...
Baez has to win that aim duel, or whatever the battle at double doors. There is only going to be one from double doors, so he's going to be the one that will have to cover it off. So it's going to be the B play. And look at that. Look at that. They've put the wall down on B. The complete bait coming out. There's going to be the showstopper through. That doesn't land. Rolling Thunder comes through as well. That's going to be answered. But they're so focused on the fact that it's a B and realizing it's not. It's too late. The Spike is down, and it's a 5-man hold. And there's nothing they can do.
I mean, that wall just pulled the Rolling Thunder on B site as well. It wasn't even...
It's brilliant.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, it was fantastic work from Forze there, and you can see everyone just literally sat in long, just waiting. As soon as that bait comes down, it pulls the rotation away from C site, and now Happy desperately trying to cling on to this operator. He's going to find Zeddy. B hopping through mid. And see what damage he can do here. Recon Bolt's actually going to spot him out. That's so unlucky. But, I mean, I want to come back to this, Lee. All of this presence on C, I feel like they should send the Cypher over to A. They just double stack C with somebody else. Get an aggressive spy cam on long or towards sewer or something like that, so they get the information nice and early, because they're not peeking early for information. Well, they're not actually seeing where Forze are setting up, and ultimately it just becomes like a 4v1 when Forze collapse onto a site.
Feel they're playing okay, so they have switched a little bit. They got the thing up there, but I still feel that Happy with an operator on B is a bad thing. Nobody I was about to say nobody peeks this until somebody does. but generally you'll see the operators either on A long, C long, looking for those picks, going aggressive on A long, looking for something there. But they're going for this play, and it's not really netted them anything. It may do this time though. This may actually work in his favor, because they are kind of stacked out there. There's the Owl drone coming through once again, but they just keep baiting it, and hasn't so far really netted any gains from having this operator in this position. Now he's got the support, but it is just an Akuma with a ghost.
Go get him.
Yeah, Coffee's going to send the boombot. It's going to give the information that Happy's still there with the operator. But again, this slow, methodical approach by Forze. StartedFromCS just have no idea what's going on right there. They have no information other than the fact that there's a raise in mid. And again, we're going to see this 4-man push. Spike going towards C long. Bayaz now has got himself tucked in cubby, which is worrying when he's going to see 3 or 4 people swing around on him. But the spy cam dart is going to force the initial aggressor away. But again, look, there's just so much presence.
They're already through double doors. He's already come through double doors. Coffee's there. I think it's Impala actually, isn't it? That's gone through as the raise. And he's already pushed through, and he's going to get around the back of him. But Bayaz with the surprise gets Zeddy and Smart 7. That's actually benefited really well for them. But now obviously he's been separated from his team. The cage trap goes down, and they can push on through. And again, as I say, the raise wrapping around through double doors. Nobody was there to block them off, but Happy lands the shot. Now it's a 3-on-2. Showstopper in. Doesn't actually net the kill, and gets taken down by Coffee in the air, and it's a 2-on-2 for the retake.
You got the entry there, but the Showstopper just didn't do any damage at all. Coffee down to 49 HP now. Existence is going to find a first on the way in, finds the second with the Spectre, upgrades himself to the operator, and they're going to get the second round on the board, but
they need more.
Again, yeah, I mean, I talked about it before the game as well. This psychological warfare just seems to be playing into Forze's favor. Right before that execute onto C came down, we saw Existence run all the way through to C Link and throw a paranoia onto B site. Again, no information that it's going to be B, but they're just playing guessing games here. And unfortunately, I mean, they'll get lucky eventually, but they're not right. I mean, it's a great retake there from, but I just feel like the defensive setup here is, they're getting abused right now by the way Forze are playing.
Maniac on along with the other operator, of course, and that leaves Happy. I would say gives them the freedom, but like when you think of, say, you know, the operator players that have been playing obviously a lot of Jet these days, we tend to see a lot of people rotating, and exactly that. They'll play from double doors. They'll be over at C long. They'll be over at B. They'll be over at A long. They'll be all over the place, and it keeps the attacking team on their feet. They're guessing, but now they just know Happy's on B. He's in the exact same static spot. He's going to be boosted on boxes. No surprises. And they're either playing to single him out or just playing around him, which is what they've been doing so far. Yes, obviously it worked out for them in the previous round, but I would say almost only because they got surprised by Bayaz being pushed up close. Not in the position this time. Sure enough, send the Owl drone in. Oh, look, Happy's there again.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting you mentioned the operator in particular. I mean, if we talk about a team like G2, we see them set up these executes on defense. They'll swing 3 long on A, and as soon as they see nobody, somebody pushes from C long. It's all that early information that's gained from that playstyle. If they know there's an operator holding B doors, why show presence there?
Immediately has to back away. Sits and waiting. It's actually going to be a play straight through to A. This is a really weird wraparound, and that's backfired horribly. Maniac popping off along with Akuma. And now Impala's the last man standing. We'll find Akuma, but Happy is there. And a big round and to balance the books nicely for the defensive side. That's the money they needed. Quick surprise, by the way, for you. BBL Esports taking down Need More DM 13-5. Big surprise.
Okay.
Actually, a game that I did consider following. That's CNED's team, the BBL, the Turkish team. So didn't have a great performance at the weekend, which is why I avoided them. But Need More DM getting taken down.
That's, I mean, that's the fate of the best of one bracket, right? We love and hate to see it. You see, actually, Existence showing a little bit of presence down towards sewers. This is what I like to see. These early peaks, if they don't see anything guarding, they can back up, and Maniac's there to hold the line for Existence with the operator, but 3 more players stacked down here. Existence nearly caught with a dark cover in his hand, and he's actually going to get caught off guard.
You will
Now,
not kill my ally.
you see the push coming all the way through. The revive's going to get Coffee back on his feet as well. The Maniac will fall, and side control will go over to Forze.
This is going to be really tough for the defenders now with Happy dropping. It's all on Akuma and Baez. I don't think it's even going to be doable, judging by the positions. Yeah, Baez is already backing away. Akuma's going to slowly step away. Save what you can. Yes, their economy is decent. They have got a lot, but Akuma got in. He got the operator away. I think that was Happy's operator, and that was all he went up there for. So, going to get over to C site, but unfortunately that takes it to 8-3 in the final round of the half. A solid attack inside from Forze, and it took StartedFromCS just too long to get going.
Again, though, they get that first pick in sewers. There's no reason for Existence to commit to holding that, especially on the ramp coming up short. I mean, he can back all the way up to site there. As soon as they show presence, you got to think there might be a teammate with them. There might be somebody here ready to trade. So I'm a little surprised to see him, I mean, caught with his pants down, to be honest with you. The paranoia comes through. There's no getting away from that.
So how and where do they change things? Yes, they need to pick this round up, but on the attack, has Existence got the ability to tame and bring his players through? You can see there, by the way, just what was going on using the... They got them that much money that they're using the operator. I think it was Impala that was doing it. He's got himself an operator and I think was it a Phantom he had there, or Vandal? I couldn't see what it was. Baez, though, he's under pressure, and well, a showstopper to the face means the site is taken, and that's a C-site take. Once again, it's been like taking candy from a baby. Every time they've gone into that C-site, they've really met no resistance, unfortunately. You know, I'm thinking of so many times I've seen players sort of getting doubles, triples from the C-site defense. It just hasn't been happening. And with a 5-man hold, yes, it's a 4-man retake. Yes, they're sending the L drone in. But they do have the Hunter's Fury. That's actually going to be sent towards Long. It may connect on the second one there. That one just splits the difference. And now they're in trouble.
Yeah, and actually, again, good utility usage there. They're going to get themselves onto site, but the dark cover's there. You see Hunter's Fury on the opposite side. The shock dart's going to shut down Existence. Happy going to have to just try and stick this one, and yeah, no chance. Yeah, you're not getting that defuse in a million years. But again, another convincing C execute from Forze, and I mean, Coffee's playing absolutely fantastically, but one factor I got to say, we've seen, what, 3 showstoppers from Coffee? I think we saw the one from Happy, and he'd held that for like 3 or 4 rounds. And that's an ultimate, and again, you can, I mean, you can say what you want about the recent changes, but you got to just get that off. Yep. You got to look at an ultimate like that as, you know, that's 1 kill a round. I'm going to set up somewhere so that if somebody comes close enough, they give me some information, any order, like audio cue, I'm going to pop it off. I'm going to send it down sewers or something like that. But instead, we see Happy in this operator role on B that
I will kill you.
It wasn't really putting any pressure on them.
I want you to watch this half and see the difference between Zeddy in this position on the Omen. He was very impressive at the weekend on this exact same spot, picking himself up a 4K from this exact same position with rifle rounds. That wall, man, that sent the battle bot just at the right time back. (9-3). This is a pistol round that started from CS. absolutely need. Look at the rotations already coming through. They've managed to pick up Akuma. That smart 7 going aggressive. He's actually gone around the backside, so they catch him pushing out of windows, but they are stacking double door. What are they doing? Forze, they're just trying to motor on through, and that's going straight into the hands of StartedFromCS. A choke point like that, Maniac and Happy will take it all day long.
Again, I like it from Forze. They push all the way out of A. They get all of that information. As soon as they know there's nobody stuck up in garden, nobody's in window. I like the fact that they kind of tried to take decisive action there. I got to question the execution ultimately, because they just got gunned at double doors.
Well, they blocked each other. The one that went through stopped. It's like it's the classic faux pas. If you go in, go. Don't like stop in the doors.
That looked like every single one of my pistol rounds in ranked. Honestly,
exactly. Yeah. Great information. Recon Bolt just got the information he needed. Got him to see the 2 attackers, which is why we're seeing the heavy rotate, actually, because they saw both Maniac and Existence down C long. It's pulled 4 players across them to see there. Maybe sold them a dummy. We'll see whether it works out for them, because we can see the spike on the minimap, of course, is looking like it's heading over towards the A site. It does mean Impala's left alone there, though. And
I was going to say,
he's not easy to pass.
No, Impala's got himself tucked. I'm assuming he's in that spot with a shorty, because that's usually what you see when somebody's down there. But he's got himself a trap wire and the spy cam up on, I guess, the top of short. Yeah, he's got a shorty in hand. Love to see that. So again, they've got to be careful not to give any audio cue over. As I say that, yeah, I think he just stepped there, and you can see the rotation coming out through the defensive spawn already. So Impala got to find himself 1 or 2, but again, StartedFromCS they've got a beat on this, and Happy's going to find 1 over at double doors, and Existence is going to send the paranoia through, and we're going to see a B execute on the back of this.
Well, the plant's down. It is just pistols, remember, so going to plant is what they wanted. Bears gets himself what he can. Does get taken down by Zeddy, though, in response, and that wraparound not going to work out for Impala. He tried to come around, but he ran straight into Maniac's Marshall. Ready and waiting. Coffee may well do the same. This is going to be up close and personal. Ghost on Ghost, and well, Coffee's got no hit points, so it will be just the 1 loss. So that means they can go through to this next round with a good bonus, with keeping the hold of the weapons as best they can. Maniac may even be able to pass it off and get an operator for someone. No, okay, he's not going to. He's just going to spend it on the armor.
That was a big round from StartedFromCS. Again, it's always, it's got to be a worrying factor to have the risk of losing the enemy's first eco, I guess. But good recovery from them. And again, I like the utility usage there. The aftershock goes through to cut off C-Link so that they can get the spike down. It's small things like that that really become huge factors in Valorant. But a good turnaround nonetheless. But the first buy around now, and a couple of SMGs still on the board for StartedFromCS. So we'll look to see if they get a little bit of aggressive with them.
Deploy drone.
Big shout out to Fishkov Tom. They made it through 18-16 in the round of 128, then a 14-12 in the round of 64. The overtime masters. That's Edelweiss from former 7 Esports as they're pushing in on towards Seaside down long. Akuma gets himself a quick double, make that a triple. Taken down by the paint shells in the end, though. The plant will come in, but Sage is already in there. Hujon does manage to get the planter down, so Spike loose at the moment, and it's all now on Impala. And a 1v2 finds himself one. Happy down. And now a deadly one-on-one, but it's around the houses they're going to go.
The timing is perfect. I say perfect, but I'm assuming Maniac knows that he's now dropped. So Maniac got the upper hand in this because he can go pretty much anywhere he likes here. And no utility other than the recon bolt, so he can probably get Spike planted in a relatively safe spot and get himself set up elsewhere. He's not going to get the Hunter's Fury. He's going to be 1 shy, so he's got to stay somewhere close to contest sight. The spy cam long could become a factor for Impala here if he checks that, but Maniac going to take a spot underneath Heaven and hold the line for the time being.
Long way to go and a short time to get there. Impala got a lot of work to do, and this is the angle that's going to favor Maniac coming from short.
It's got a, yeah. 70 HP for Impala as well.
Going to go for it. Here's the footsteps. Run straight in. Easy all day long for Maniac there. And an important round for StartedFromCS to get themselves back on the board. 9-6. Is this a comeback? Is it coming? Is it happening?
I mean, again, Haven's one of those maps, and I hate defaulting into the cliche, but momentum builds on a map like this. Again, because it's so heavily reliant on this this information gathering from the defense, and obviously that early pickoff from the offense. And I mean, they're kind of looking like a different. StartedFromCS are looking like a different team right now. They're much better set up. They're capitalizing on first bloods, and they're actually getting first bloods in this half lane.
Big upsets in this tournament so far. So Big have gone out, although that one may be a grower, that team. We'll see how it works out.
The foundations are there.
Yeah, need more DM going out. The big surprises early on, especially in the round of 64, but that is the danger of best of ones. Obviously, time being, I think we'd be here all week and then some if we did best of threes all the way through this.
Well, like you said as well earlier, I heard you talk about that. You know, it's reliant on not having, you know, like a favored map. Obviously, with these set maps for a best of one, you don't get a choice. It's like, well, okay, we could be screwed if we play a team that we know are better than us on split.
But you also need to play around it. Like, I mean, I guess you could look at it. I'll get to it in a second because we're about to push straight into the action. Zeddy manages to catch Maniac there. Remember, this is a Thrifty coming out. Hujon, he's plucking away with this Marshall at the moment, but you can see Existence has done the damage. Can't quite land it the second time. Happy down to 2 hit points. And he still finds himself. Was that a double headshot lineup? I think it was.
Clean. That was clean.
So that was the eco out the way. Now the weapons coming in. So Impala back on the operator. So is Hujon. So it's a double op setup, just as we saw from StartedFromCS. But 9-7. Now right back in this one. Confidence will certainly never be a factor for the likes of Happy Maniac and obviously Existence, who've been around the block and then some throughout Source and CSGO. Hell, I think some of them was Existence in 1.6 as well. I'm not sure. I think we're very games in CS Source, if I remember rightly. I'd have to check my records and my history. But either way, Hujon starts things off for Kuma down long. That's what we were talking about. That's what I wanted to see from StartedFromCS on the defensive side. That big long play, which kind of was working for Maniac, but he just never netted anything because they never beat him.
Yeah, the double swing on A long, and again, I mean, it absolutely pays off for them. Netting themselves not just the first blood, but the second to follow it up, and a deadly setup there to have the operator. I mean, the double operator setup on A site actually is one posted up in heaven now. Impala just needs to plant himself and watch sewers. He's got a trap wire down there as well to give some information over. But Spike's still lingering here, and they haven't popped the spy cam just above the bricks here. And there you go, now it is. So the information comes over, the peek from heaven actually misses. Aldrone going to go in and try and find some information, but Hujon going to find Baez there. Impala will find Happy.
One in heaven, one in hell. Double block.
Yeah.
That's up. This is just the shooting gallery. Nothing you're going to do about this one, Maniac, I'm afraid. Yeah, and you're slowed. Just like climbing up the hill. I will not be deterred. I will push onto sight. You will not catch me off guard. Oh, but he's got him. He's got him piled down, and he's going to get the spike planted. Are you kidding me? They're going to give him the money? Yes, they are.
I was going to say, if he somehow, by some divine miracle, managed to get back down to Suez, he had Hunter's Fury and nobody was flanking, but it's a tall order. It's a tall order, but Forze will put their first round on the board on the defensive half now, and they got themselves up to double digits, and this is worrying now because, you know, you lose one buy round, you're on an eco, and it puts the enemy team on match point. That's the worrying part.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody hits that 10-round mark, because then, I mean, you can't afford to slip up at all after that. And I mean, StartedFromCS are going to be able to fall buy back into this one, and they're probably going to have 3 full buys for the next round as well. Maybe 1 light buy on Akuma, but Again, a lot rides on this one.
Just feel the confidence maybe growing for Forza with the double operator setup. It working out well for them, and the early peaks, they're going to peak once again down A-long. This time the shot doesn't net anything. You can see them pushing down, and this time Existence trying to draw something out with Baez, trying to something from it. They do have a lot of ultis available on both sides at the moment. The Rolling Thunder and the Showstopper certainly available for the attacking team, which will net them something maybe. There's going to be the Hunter's Fury coming out from the defensive side. I tell a lie, it's actually the attacking side that pushed it through. That was Maniac trying to net something, but it didn't land anything in the end, and that's just been a fake. So they're going to push on through. You can see, keep your eye on Maniac, Existence. The Rolling Thunder, he's tucked in down short right now. That's going to be the Rolling Thunder across A site. There's going to be the play. Dark cover into Heaven. Rolling Thunder coming in, but look how passive they got. Forza read this. They've completely backed off site.
Yeah, and actually the paint shell combined with the cyber cage down and long actually going to pick up one of the kills. They do still get a little bit of side control, and Spike will go down. Post plant wise, they don't have any ultimates now that the Hunter's Fury was invested elsewhere, and you got to question that now that they've got control of A site. Started from CS now in a 3v4 situation. I say that's now a 2v4.
I mean,
yeah, the trades going back in favor of Forze now. Akuma will fall.
Can't do anything about it.
No.
And the timing on Impala there, just to go for that peak, exactly when the sight was turning. Basically, his teammate just making noise, draws his attention, out he peaks, got ya. And that's, yeah, as you talked about, you know, this is now where the economy from StartedFromCS is still going to be there. They've still got a bit to go, but as you say, Forza, they've got bank now. They've got enough to carry them through if they want to go all the way. And I just feel this double operator setup, once they got that in play, that's kind of been the difference. That's what set Forza up. Their defensive stance has been strong since then.
Yeah, I mean, the plant and a couple of kills in that last round was actually huge for StartedFromCS. At least they didn't, everybody died and they didn't trade anybody. So, I mean, that's good. But again, this is kind of an all or nothing, because they're going to be on a broken buy next round. They're going to have to force up 2, possibly 3 SMGs if they invest a lot of utility into this. But it's really worrying when you get to this stage.
It's just different to look at the pressure that, say, for example, that's a wall been drawn out there. Was that a boosted wall at double doors? I think it may have been. It's Hujon that's through there, isn't it? Yeah, I think Hujon was trying to do the wall boost to just have a look, but he didn't have the angle. It's going to hold them at bay, and they're actually pushing into it. Aldrone through, sees the slow orb coming through. Akuma's actually going to push through the slow orb. That may surprise them. They've backed away onto C site, so they've got a triple stack on C site.
The power just the huge
single man through, and they've got to push on through. They've got to catch the man in the corner.
Already now. Oh no.
Then he goes down, but the damage is done. Showstopper from Happy goes through, but he's been picked off by Coffee. It's down to a simple round once again for Forza. And I was talking about it right at the start of the round, right? Look at the difference that Zeddy on C site as opposed to Bears. I don't want to hack on Bears. It wasn't Bears' fault. I just feel that the agent, the Omen, is so much stronger on a C site than a Cypher is. A Cypher, I feel, is better suited on the A site.
Oh, for sure. And the other factor as well, with Force showing that much C presence on attack, Bears can't stop a rush. He can't stop a rush.
Impala looking to see his Existence going to peek into it. He kind of wants it, kind of drawing it. Just going to set himself up camera and traps. And back away from that one. Once again, Hujon getting the peek through double doors. And Impala does net himself the shot. It's Akuma, sorry, that's playing as the breach. And again, losing the opening man in match point. Not looking good for StartedFromCS.
No, it's not, but again, hate to come back to it, but that aggressive spy cam, and now the fact that Impala has full control of A long, you can see that nobody from Forze needs to rotate around the map looking for information, trying to second guess where the push is coming from. And that's the big difference between this. I mean, I was going to say, yeah, Existence shouldn't get away with that one. He tried to teleport all the way over into the defensive spawn, and now 2 members left alive for Started from CS to keep their tournament hopes alive. Happy and Maniac, and it's just Happy now, and he's going to lose that one to Zeddy. And a Forze close this one out. I mean, you got that was a clinical performance from Forze. They absolutely didn't falter at all. Anything that started from CS, 2 of them, but just to come back quickly to that, just so those defensive setups from Forze, they buy you so much space, so much information, and I mean, we said Cypher being on C side was a factor. That there was a perfect demonstration of how Cypher can be a huge swaying factor on Haven in particular. Aggressive spy cam, he gets that information so early for his teammates, and Haven's one where if you're on C and the execute comes out on A, it takes you 20 seconds to rotate. Spike's already down. You've either got to peel back and play retake. It really showed a different class there from Forze.
Impressive. The CIS team is stepping up. One of the few CIS teams that are obviously delivering these days. Obviously, we know Party Pirates have gone out, and obviously that I feel is their last tournament. We're probably going to see the Party Pirates together. They've been pretty vocal on Twitter that they are kind of splitting apart. So it's great to see Forza coming through. Like I say, they put on a great performance last weekend. I was very impressed by them. I saw them performing at the We Play tournament 2 weeks ago as well. So it's great to see them continue to develop, and they're going to be moving on to the next round. Of course, where do we go from here? Well, that's the big question, because there's been quite a few upsets so far, Mike. So we got to keep our eye on the brackets to see exactly where we can pull this one from. But we're going to see so many teams already barring out. Obviously, yes, G2 are barreling on through the tournament. Don't think we're anyone too surprised by that one. Nolpenki also, they are through to the round of 16, a team that I'm glad to see is delivering. I've loved the Lithuanians.
Sure.
So it's great to see them going through. God, they've had to play every round so far. 13-0, 13-5, 13-6. So they're stomping on the way through.
Fish 1, 2, 3 as well.
Yeah, big
they're
going
through.
out. But Fish 1, 2, 3, as you say, are through. We expect it to be Fish 1, 2, 3 versus Fabricant, but Fabricant is still playing TBD, and that's a good team, by the way, because TBD is Chihuahua and Co. So that's not an easy walkthrough team. So we'll find out. But I mean, we say we hope. I never want to hope to see Fish 1, 2, 3 versus Fabricant in a best of one on Ascent. That's not something I've ever wanted to see.
fair point, but I mean, Ascent is the factor there. If we'd have seen Bind, then I maybe would have been a little bit more excited about it. But I mean, ultimately, these teams want them to get as far as they possibly can in this. So that's the only reason I say that. Fabricant, even though it's their last hoorah as well. Obviously, we know what's on the horizon for that roster. That for me is just one of the good matchups we're going to have through this final round of the best of one bracket.
Another team through, by the way, is Rix GG, formerly known as Royals. You may have known them played a lot through the beta, and obviously since release, been playing as the Royals. They have become Rix.gg over the yesterday. In fact, was it today or yesterday? It's very recent.
Yesterday, I think. Yeah.
They are through. They've taken down Jabiz, Team Jabiz. It's a team I covered in the Rise of Titans finals. Was it the Rise of Titans? No, semi-finals. Sorry, they get through. So the French team, very good lineup, and they are possibly up against BBL. We'll see whether BBL and CNET can get through. Ninjas and Pajamas still playing. We now know Forza are through. They are likely to play NIP next, Forza. That's a possibility. That's a juicy matchup in itself.
That's spicy, yeah.
That's a spicy matchup as well. So there's some really big quarterfinals here. Bonk also through, seems to be without break. Oh, I say without breaking a sweat. The Pingu gang. The Pingu gang put up a little fight there. And who was on the Pingu gang? Damn it. There's a couple of players I recognize. I covered them at the weekend. There's been so many teams, so many names. I have to question myself. It's Edukos. That's the Moonwolf man from PUBG.
Moonwolf man, yeah.
The Italians. So,
the other name we couldn't remember the other day when we were talking about it ourselves.
Edukos, Dudley, and that. So they put up a fight. It seems a successful fight. But it's so far so good. We've lost a couple of favorites, but we'll see. At the moment, nobody's put a dent in G2's prowess.
No, I was just thinking whether or not it's even worth to go back and watch through the G2 VODs. But
no, because they've only played one game. They had 2 buys.
Okay.
So there's only been one 13-5. So don't look at the 13-0s. They just they were buys.
Okay.
So they managed to take a straight walk through that one. But yeah, I guess we go to a break and we figure out who exactly is going to be next. I'm pretty sure it will be Fish123 versus Fabricam, but we'll see what TBD can do after that quick game. But any last final thoughts on Force taking down Started from CS there?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that's an upset.
No, I don't think so either.
Forze looked in fantastic form. That's one thing to take away from that. I think they look really, really well composed on attack. And I'll be honest, from what I've seen of Forze, I haven't seen them be that slow and methodical. And Haven in particular, they've, for me, I guess when I've seen them excel, it's kind of been through that like explosive execute on the site. And it's interesting to see them mix things up and still actually perform that well. So it's great to see Forze in good form. Again, they're one of the names that we want to watch throughout this, and making it through the best of one stage of this event is a big factor. It's probably the hardest part. When you get to a best of 3, you can have a throwaway map and the series is a bit longer. But no, takeaways from me, I'm excited to see Forze carry on this throughout.
Interesting contrast for me, seeing the two defensive sides. For example, with Forze, they were always set up and they were always getting picks. People were always peeking into that A-long play.
Yeah.
Whereas when Forze were on attack, they didn't once. Maniac was there with an operator. Don't get me wrong. Maniac was in the right place at the right time. He was there ready waiting. Yeah. Not one person picked him. So we're not giving you a free kill over there. Whereas Started from CS picked it every single time. And
lost it.
Lost a man every single time. Yeah, it's like... And I don't know whether that's part of. Hello, we got full screen. Hey, you want to see the cats in the background? That's what it is. I don't know whether that's down to the ego play of like, I'm going to win this aim duel. I'm going to win this aim duel. That sort of style of play, or whether it's down to lack of preparation in terms of like scrims, non-stop scrims, because you guarantee Forza have been playing tournament after tournament after tournament after tournament, scrimming. They are practicing, they're working hard. So it's great to see them starting to get the benefits of that.
Yeah, I mean it's we mentioned this on Split in the previous game from Started from CS, where there's this heavy reliance on that first blood or winning a gunfight or taking this 1v1 from a lurk, from whether it be the Cypher or we saw a couple of times from the Raze being a factor on Split in particular. But that play style against a good setup defensively just isn't going to work. You're not going to be able to crack the shell, and they're not going to give anything away for free. I think that was one of the most impressive things from Forze. They got maximum value off of those defensive setups, and the thing was, even when they didn't get value, they didn't give a site away to kind of achieve it.
Well, we're just waiting to see again whether they're still ready. We're still just waiting to see. Don't worry, we're not just talking for the sake of talking. We're talking for the rest of the
We're waiting for results.
We're waiting for the tournament to catch up to see what's going through it. But Mike, I want to talk about the serious business, and that is orgs, team orgs. You've been obviously involved with an org in your playing days. Yes, I am going to bring up your playing days. You were obviously with Optic back in the days, and the orgs, unfortunately, they're always looking for that special something, and it doesn't always go down to your skill as a player.
No, I think you could say the same about any kind of new release. There's obviously I hate to say it, but the clout factor. Obviously, organizations want to get a presence within a game very, very quickly, and obviously if the game picks up on Twitch, players with high viewership are obviously going to be very attractive. And whilst we have things like the Twitch Invitational, and ultimately that's a creator-based thing, kind of a pro-am, if you like. But the interesting part is now where we see kind of competitions kind of catch up. And I think EU's probably a month or two still behind NA in terms of establishing kind of, 8 tier 1 teams. I don't mean orgs, I mean like tier 1 teams in terms of the level competition. But Mixwell is a good example for me. He's one that, was streaming the game from day one. He got picked up on a very good team, and he's now surrounded by 4 arguably superstars in a roster. And that, I think, is something that comes over time. And I mean, it's exciting to see. But I'm just hoping EU can kind of catch up and we can get a couple of standout rosters and not this poaching situation that seems to be going on.
And I think, hey, from Carlos's point of view, all credit to him. Mm-hmm. They ran the G2 tournament. They were clearly looking for players, and they jumped the gun very early. They put the faith in Mixwell, knowing damn well they've pulled up a good CSGO player, good Spanish player, so he's got that Spanish link as well.
Optic boy as well.
Yeah. And got that good player in there. And then they bring Pit in. So suddenly they're like, oh, we've got two big name players, like a former NIP man has been around the rig. And then then they're really clever because then they pull in artists. So they're like, okay, who's these top players at Fish 123? Thank you very much. We'll have you. And they did it before anyone else. And that's why everybody else is like, your Liquids, your Fanatics, everyone out there sort of still waiting for rosters are like, well, damn, we were a bit slow on that one, weren't we? We kind of lost out.
AORUS is another one for me because I think they found a superstar in terms of a player, but I think they've also found an absolute gem in terms of a personality to go alongside somebody like Mixwell as well, who's obviously he's got a very big stream.
You're going to get a personality when you get a Scouser in there.
Exactly. It goes without saying, but I think they've absolutely found a gem in AORUS, and I mean, that roster now is just, it's great to see them perform the way they are. I hope they can stay at the top. There's obviously questions around how long this play style is going to work for them, but I think they've built a very well-rounded roster. It's a fantastic foundation now. They've got David P. Obviously signed, which was a huge surprise in the end.
Finally, they signed him. It took long enough. Poor old David P. I mean, like, who wasn't looking at the roster announcements like, okay, yeah, we've got him, done. Right, David P. How big do you need to go in a tournament to convince them to like pick you up full time? I mean,
how big?
Exactly. It wasn't even once. It was just consistent. I mean, the poor guy was.
And then they hung him out and said, "Yeah, you're playing in Prodigy this week. We'll play someone else this week. You can go play elsewhere." And he's like, "But speaking of shocks,
exactly
shocks. Fabricant losing 13-6 to TBD."
Feel like they're done, aren't they?
Well,
like it's done.
Is that a heart thing? Do you think? Is that a?
Yeah.
I mean, I know they said we're going to be playing our last tournament on July 31st. I didn't mean that literally that was going to be the last day.
Yeah, we're not making it past stage one. Yeah.
Yeah, a little rough. I mean, let's be honest. TBD is a good squad.
Yeah.
It's the Chihuahua, Neeks, the sort of like CIS. Excuse me, Polish sort of squad that's pretty nuts, to be fair. So if there's a team in disarray, if anyone could take advantage, it could definitely be someone like TBD. So obviously when you look at a bracket, it doesn't seem as scary, but I mean, this should be a good little game. Fish 123, I managed to catch the end of their game. Scream is just playing nuts up on Reyna now, just running around. He's looking good. The vibe looks good, but a better opponent coming up, so this could be a fun one, I'm sure.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Scream flex onto the Reyna because obviously Reyna has been the go-to. Everybody that watches his stream has seen him just playing Reyna non-stop in ranked, but we saw him flex out a couple of times onto different agents, and the breach usage was what caught my eye initially, and how he kind of picked up synergizing utility around teammates. And that's something that, again, you come back to, if you could question any of the talented CS players that come in, it's how well they can synergize their utility, not just, using a flashpoint, taking a 1v1, getting an entry onto site, but using your utility to actually synergize, set up your teammates. Breach is kind of like one of those enabling agents. It's like, okay, you set up down here, I'll send my fault line from the other side of the map, and you guys peek down long C or something like that. That was what really caught my eye for Scream, because when you saw him kind of start doing that, that was when I felt like Fish 123 had kind of utilized Scream to the best of his abilities, as opposed to this charge down mid, find 4 headshots in a round and let him run loose.
Yeah, I checked in with them very briefly before today, and they've switched up almost all of their roles. They've had a big change since the artists switch up there towards G2, of course. So for them, it's risky to do that, though, don't you think? Sometimes, because obviously people get used to you being in this pretty good form, but you may be feeling you're capping out a little early. So maybe this is their long run. This is the longevity they've invested in now.
I mean, you could also say big shoes to fill, but also, for the rest of the team, it's also a big statement to say, yeah, we've lost our star player and we've got this other superstar now. Are we held to the same standard? Which, in my eyes, should absolutely. I mean, they had an absolutely flawless record, obviously leading up to the release of the game. We Play was a weird one for me because I felt like they stumbled way harder than I expected, and whether or not that was
that was
time preparation, and whether or not they kind of found their feet with obviously there's got to be a question of subbing somebody in that's obviously native tongue is in English, but that to me, from what I've seen stream-wise, hasn't been that huge a factor.
Yeah, Echo said in his interview on mandatory.gg that they were actually testing out those changes throughout the WePlay tournament, and obviously they've been refining them ever since. So that was kind of like their first experimental dip into the changes, because they had to, right? They had to change. They lost artists, a big presence in the team, probably pretty damn vocal in that team as well. Bringing in Scream, as you said before, very different banter. Very much struggling that. I know how that's feel. I know how that is with a German fiance. I know the banter doesn't reflect well. So I'm sure he's probably they're going through that little teething stage, and as you say, changing up. I'm intrigued to see how Reyna's going to come into this, especially how he played on Haven. Obviously, when Reyna first came out, a lot of people sort of tried Reyna out and then sort of faded back away from it.
Trying out.
Yeah.
It's risky. I think that's what we're going to see is does the risk garner reward? Can they play it against a better team now, arguably? Different map, different look. But I think with all that said, we do need to head to a quick ad break just to, keep the ad man happy. And when we're back, we'll be jumping into what I guess is the last game of the day, and it's going to be a banger as well. So I'm excited for that. Guys, stick around. We'll be back in just a moment's time.